Hi, how's it going? This is resident of Collinwood for YouTube, resident _of Collinwood for BitChute, and I'm here to do my video about Josette Collins and why did of why did Josette's ghost protect the Collins family? Now, if you're not familiar with Dark Shadows at all, I will gladly explain this. Who was Josette exactly? Well, Josette was born Josette of France, Martinique, if you will, and she came from a very wealthy family herself. Keep in mind, Josette, I think that's something too that gets lost in all this. Josette herself, she wasn't a commoner. She wasn't a girl who didn't have money. Her father, her family, they had money too. Was Josette and Barnabas's marriage arranged? You would think of how wealthy the two families were that would be yes, but no, that's not the case at all. Barnabas met Josette and they actually fell in love. Barnabas Collins, that is. Now, when Josette comes to Collinsport and comes up to Collinwood, the old house, if you will, she is accompanied by her servant Angelique, who's a lot like a friend to her, really. And what you find out is Angelique has had this some sort of affair with Barnabas, has had some sort of relationship with him. Now, Angelique is a witch, literally a witch with powers. She puts Josette under a spell. Josette ends up marrying Jeremiah, not even knowing why. Then Angelique marries Barnabas. Obviously, if you're familiar with the rest, then you know the rest, but for those who don't, you have Angelique who ends up cursing Barnabas after Barnabas killed Jeremiah in a duel, and Barnabas was threatening to expose Angelique as a witch because he found out about her when she was trying to do the little card thing with Victoria Winters in her room. But she was successful. So he shoots her with a flintlock pistol, and she, we all know what she says. Okay, she curses him. Now, here's where the Josette thing gets interesting. Here's where I'm going to focus mainly on Josette now. Josette gets put under a spell by Angelique again, this time to be so frightened of Barnabas, she jumps off. She literally falls to her death. She falls off Widow's Hill, hitting the rocks below as the waves crash. Is Josette's life and death tragic? Absolutely. There's no gray area or in between there. You know what I mean? It's just Josette's life and death is one of tragedy. But here's the silver lining in this: is Josette's spirit, is Josette's ghost. In many ways, Angelique made a lot of mistakes, right? I've talked about this, and so have many others. But Angelique's biggest mistake was perhaps causing the spell that caused Josette to leap to her death. And here's why. When Josette's spirit died, she was full of unrest. Here's this woman whose life was literally turned upside down, topsy-turvy, by things that were beyond her control. And when she was alive, she didn't know that. She didn't know she was being put under spells or anything like that. Because, again, she was a mortal woman, and Angelique was a witch. Now, here's this ghost who knows what happened to her, who knows what's going on. And now, here's somebody who can now try to warn others or do something about other events that might happen to this family. Josette the Prey Collins, though seemingly despised by the history books, by the way her grave is, if you will, her grave is so alone, it's bare. But keep in mind, she is mentioned, and when she's mentioned in not a vile way or even a bad way. She's mentioned sort of with pride. Well, that's Josette Collins. She came over from France. She was our ancestor. And then you find out, well, she was our married ancestor. She was Josette de Prey, and then she became Josette Collins because she married Jeremiah. They were in love. And one thing Dark Shadows teaches you is history can be written as a lie, which is crazy, right? So Josette, the ghost of Josette, you might say, well, she doesn't really protect the Collins family in 1840 or in 1897. I think primarily why you could say she doesn't is because I think in many ways Josette was biding her time in many ways as a spirit, as a ghost. She didn't feel she needed to intervene on those proceedings, really. So with 1966, where our series began, where this series began really, and you're first hearing about Josette, where you really start to see her ghost is in the old house. She comes out of her portrait, and she's dancing around, and she really starts intervening with the whole manslaughter charge. She cries to Victoria. She comes to Victoria when Victoria feels she's gonna die. Josette comes to Victoria. That was such a big moment in the franchise because Josette, according to David, only really appeared to him, and he was a Collins. So here's it really. If you want proof that Victoria really was a Collins, the proof is in Josette's ghost. Why would else she protect Victoria or even appear to her? Victoria was the daughter of Elizabeth. So she protects him. She sort of lets Victoria know, hey, you're going to be okay. And then the widows take action along with Matthew Morgan. But where Josette really protected the family, was really sort of guiding people's hand, was in the Phoenix arc. This is something I touched on when me and Mark did our video, that she was in many ways one of the driving force for Victoria, for everybody to sort of unite against this force. Now, some people might say, well, she doesn't protect them from Barnabas Collins. She doesn't warn Willie. No, he's not a Collins, but she could have stopped him. Maybe she could have scared him off. About that, I think the ghost of Josette Collins, when Jason McGuire and Willie Loomis come to town and we see Willie's delving into the history, I think Josette just let it all happen. Let Barnabas get out. She didn't try to stop Willie. No, she didn't make an effort to stop Willie. And I'll tell you why, in my opinion. In my opinion, Josette did not try to stop Willie because she knew the only real way for things to get fixed was for Barnabas to be free. Was that so Barnabas could have a chance to finally fight this curse, not just on him, on his entire family. We're talking generations of Collinses have been cursed just because of Angelique's words, really. When you think about it, Barnabas, when Angelique says, uh, anybody you try to love, well, he loves the Collinses. He's a Collins. So even when he's laying there for 200 years, really, does he stop loving anybody? No. He's got family members that are his descendants by Daniel Collins. Daniel Collins, though it's written there Jeremiah's descendants, are really Daniel Collins' descendants. So, which is interesting, because Daniel is not the son of Jeremiah. Daniel is the cousin, or sorry, the brother of Millicent Collins. I almost mispronounced her name, but I didn't this time. So, to me, Josette wanted Barnabas to get out. She wanted him to sort of be free. Barnabas's confrontation with Josette's portrait, again, it's not. I've talked about this. This isn't a confrontation of hatred. It's a confrontation of he was hurt because he asked his father to kill him, and he's just telling Josette, "I've come home." But deep down, Josette knows that already. Josette's a ghost. She can see it all. This isn't the same mortal woman who didn't know any better. She knows he got out long before he came to visit that portrait. And deep down, I think Josette was glad that he got out. Now, was she being a ghost? Does that mean being clairvoyant and seeing that, oh, he's going to try to recruit you? No, that she didn't anticipate. She thought maybe he would go, try to fight this thing head on, but he didn't. He had to learn all over again what the wrong things to do were and what the right things to do were. And he did learn that. And with the help of who none other than the ghost of Sarah Collins, Barnabas' sister. And I dare say I do think a lot of that was Sarah and Josette sort of working together. Josette's going probably. I think something we don't see, but I definitely think could have happened was Josette maybe going, "Hey, I know he's not really going to listen to me. You're somebody he would listen to." And there is Sarah in tow. She does come when Maggie is kidnapped, who is the spitting image of Josette. I don't think it's by chance just Sarah showing up, if you know what I mean. So I think that is Josette's ghost. I don't think Josette's ghost ever really inhabits Maggie. I think Maggie is just in such a mental state that she's starting to really believe she's Josette. I don't ever really think Josette's ghost is in Maggie, really. I think she moves like Josette, but then again, Barnabas has been grooming her to be Josette, so it's all in her mind. And as soon as she starts to fight that harder and harder, she stops doing it. So, why did Josette's ghost protect the Collins family if I didn't answer it? She protected them because she wanted them to not be cursed anymore. She wanted this family that was seemingly surrounded by supernatural events that were beyond the living Collins family members' control. She knew now being dead, you know, unwillingly jumping to her death because of being under a spell. She knew, now being a ghost, she could do more about it now than she ever could when she was alive. And a lot of things were going to have to happen for her to sort of right this ship for this family. And one of those things was the releasing of Barnabas Collins. I'm not going to sit here and say she got at Willie's hand. No. But she did nothing to stop him. And to me, that's just as good because, again, who got cursed? Barnabas. To her, this all started with the cursing of Barnabas to Josette. Josette didn't know about the previous events with Angelique as her real name, Mary. She didn't know all that. But again, once she died, she knew everything, and the releasing of Barnabas was going to be the thing that steered the course eventually. It just took time to get there. I think Josette, deep down, though she died in such a violent way, I think she never stopped loving not just Barnabas, but the Collins family themselves. She loved what they represented, and what they represented was goodness. And I do think that's a major reason why the ghost of Josette protected them. She's, for all the yelling, for all the screaming, for all the arguing, the liquor drinking, the finger pointing, she saw them for what they were. A lovable family, despite being at each other's hearts. Look at the love Jeremiah and Barnabas had each other, before one shot somebody else with a flintlock. Oh my God. Dark Shadows is full of craziness, but we love it. So, I really do think that the ghost of Josette is as much responsible for the heroics in the story as the living protagonist. She is as much as a protagonist herself as the living ones, just in ghost form. And she's doing it because she wants the Collins family to overcome all of it. So that's my opinion, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know you guys' thoughts. Why do you guys think Josette protected the Collins family instead of just trying to move on as a ghost? Want to hear you guys' thoughts. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you.